I'd just like to let everybody know before we start the podcast, there may be the odd swear word during Fighting on the Inside. Also, some of the subjects that we cover, especially those surrounding mental health, some people may be affected by these conversations. If you are, then you can find information and help in the show notes. But please, other than that, enjoy the show. Right, guys, before we get started, I would like to say a huge thank you to our sponsor, NordVPN. Now, trust me, take it from me, if you're a boxing fan and you do not have a VPN service, I would highly recommend you get one. There's been plenty of times, so many times, where I've been wanting to watch a huge fight that is broadcast in another country, but have not been able to. But if you go and sign up to NordVPN, you can digitally locate yourself within that country so you are able to watch any of those huge fights you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. Also, for just the price of a cup of coffee per month, a NordVPN account can be used on up to 6 devices, allowing you and your family to stay digitally safe when you're out and about or using public Wi-Fi. So NordVPN also protects you wherever you are in the world. And like I said, if you're a boxing fan, you need one. So before the podcast starts, press pause, go into the show notes, click on the link, and you can go and sign up to NordVPN. You'll get a huge discount plus a bonus gift. So, NordVPN, thanks for sponsoring the show, and welcome to Fighting on the Inside. Let's get on with it. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Fighting on the Inside, hosted by myself, Jamie Jewitt.
And myself, Johnny Nelson. Go on, son, do it.
And as always, we want to say a massive thank you to our sponsors. We have NordVPN, Real Power of One, Wow Hydrate, Pulse Roll. Without those guys, we couldn't do what we're doing. As you all know, this is all in aid of Gloves Up, Knives Down, anti-knife crime charity. So all of our fantastic sponsors are helping us raise those guys plenty of money. Right, today we have none other than the Juggernaut, Big Joe Joyce in the house.
Here I am.
Here he is. And we have the infamous Shane Wastson. I had to say infamous, mate. You're always getting yourself into arguments on TV.
Part and parcel of what I do.
That's it. How you boys doing? How are you, Joe?
Yeah, all good. All good. Good to be here.
Good.
Already sampled the punching machine there, which
You have.
appears to be slightly broken. So
We're sat here waiting for him.
slightly, I don't know.
Joe was
I've
adamant.
got the itch now.
I think
I could do better.
One of
Oh,
your
God.
stablemates has been in here actually, Johnny Fisher, and he got a pretty decent
I
score.
think he
on
must have broke it because.
I must say, Joe, I know you're over there, keep trying, but I do think he's busted it a little bit. So if Johnny tries to give you stick and say that he beat you, we're going to stick up.
I
and
did have
say
fun
that
on
the
that.
machine was broken.
You must have hit that.
Not
You must
this
have been-
Johnny, mate.
Yeah,
You're rubbish.
Yeah. We're talking about the other Johnny Fisher.
Johnny Fisher, that's it. Ron for ball. Bash! Right. Joe, I have to say, mate, you've just come off the back of an unbelievable win over Joe Parker. It's not just the person you beat. Obviously, he's an amazing fighter. It's the way in which you beat him.
The way I handed out that beating.
It genuinely was a beating, and you stopped him. He's never been stopped. Made a hell of a statement there. How are you feeling after that win, mate? I want to get in your head.
Yeah, I'm really, really good. I mean, it's quite a long time. Like, it feels like a long time ago now, but so it was only like about a month. Yeah, it was like a month.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks
End
ago,
of September, so
Yeah.
about 2 months ago.
2 months.
Is
ago.
it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So
You've been having some fun.
So now it's like a long way away, and Christmas is closer, and then obviously the next camp in Vegas is looming on the horizon in January.
Yeah.
So-
Your demeanour never seems to change, before, during, or after a fight, which is probably makes you so unassuming. So your successes, people are thinking, I didn't expect that. But is that part of the play? Is that part of the gameplay?
I don't know. It's just I don't like to overly big up my performances, and it makes my head heavy, and then I do have to do more neck training.
You got a pretty fucking big neck already. Is that where your chin comes from, mate? Because you've got a famous chin.
Well, yeah, it leads to my neck. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's attached. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as boxers, you have to strengthen all your bodies to be like well-rounded and to get through the flames and the fire of battle.
Yeah, but you've got, as an ex-fighter, I look at it and I think this man is just like, he's granite. Chin, head, body, and your pace isn't mad. Your pace is consistent. You're I don't know if this is an insult or not, but he was a great fighter. You might remind me of a modern version of George Foreman in his hot pump when he was up there on top.
Yeah,
strong. You know, it looks like it's easy.
Like,
but
like when he came back again, like when he was older.
No. I mean the George Foreman that was running riot around everybody.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Steaming through people, wasn't he?
I don't know what you do. Like that, because I think my technique is better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the
but
strength,
yeah, like the raw power and stuff. What I'm saying is like the way he delivered it and the technique he used when he came back was how I
more educated. He was more educated.
Yeah.
How did you fall into it? Did you do mixed martial arts before, anything like that?
Yeah, so I started a lot of combat sports. Like started with karate when I was 5, and then I probably started. I did it again as well when I was a bit older, when I moved down south, because I started off in East London, moved down south to Putney, and I was in between Putney and Leytonstone, my mum and dad's house respectively. But so karate I started, and then I did it again like from till like I was a teenager, and then started the kickboxing, and there where I was like sparring the adults at 15, and like. I used to really enjoy sparring and that, but it was only touch spar with the kickboxing. You did hands only and feet and stuff, and they mixed with karate with kung fu. It's mixed with kung fu, and then after I graduated, I went to China and did like some training out there. So I'm a student of martial arts. And that's what I'm saying. So
it's not very often a martial artist would actually graduate and be successful as a boxer. It's usually the other way around maybe, but it's not very often. I know the Klitschko's that's how they first started off the mixed martial arts, but then they're the most famous successful ones that have done that as boxers. But
so like my transition to boxing wasn't like I was already doing athletics. I was already fit and I was an athlete already, and from doing like striking with the martial arts, it was I was already had a head start. It wasn't like I started like from nothing at 22. I started like with martial arts.
So you'd have always had the discipline as a youngster coming through. So the chances of were you disciplined from a youngster? Did your parents like guide you that way from the off? Because I suppose it takes you away from actually doing the stuff what normal young men do out and about. Yeah,
I got sent to everything. I started rugby 5 or 6 as well. Played till I was 18. I played my last game when I was 18, but probably competitively till I was 16 and playing for Surrey, and was undefeated for 2 years as well. And also the swimming club as well. I would always do.
What? When did you have time, man?
Yeah.
Mate, that's all I was doing. And so with the swimming club, they used to beast us on doing lengths and stuff. It'd be like, okay, kids.
The size of you. Were you big when you were doing swimming?
Yeah, I was always a head taller than everyone since I was probably like 4 or something.
I was 6 foot when he was 4.
I was 6 foot when I was 12 and size 12.
Good hell.
So therefore, I suppose you didn't really have much time to do anything apart from sport
and art. Yeah, I did art as well. Art in school and outside school as well. Like I'd always be creative and drawing and painting stuff. And
Joe, can I ask, did you ever get into trouble as a kid then? Because you seem like you were so busy. Like, what was there a reason why you were really encouraged? Were you encouraged, or did you just choose to do that yourself, or did one of your parents really encourage you to stay out? Because it, do you know what I mean? Was it just encouraging you to do it for your sake, or were you?
So with the rugby and the swimming, like my dad kind of got me into swimming because he's always swimming as well. So as a baby, I was always swimming, and rugby I started early as well, and the karate as well too. But then but they'd always send me to all these different things, like my mum, like gymnastics. I did ballet. I did like all these things because I was so tall. She found it important that I have a good posture and that I'm disciplined and my flexibility. And also I was doing like kind of like more meditative stuff, like meditation and things. Because my mum was practicing massage, reflexology, and shiatsu therapist, and then she taught it as well. So I kind of grew up with that kind of thing.
Are you an only child?
I was an only child till 15.
I get it.
Till 15.
Jeez.
But now I've got 4 brothers.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out the commitment and the attention they probably gave you to do all these things.
Yeah.
To have juggle other kids as well at the same time.
Definitely.
Must have been very
and
hard.
because I was in between, like, because I had the best of both worlds. I was with my mum, and then I spent Wednesday and every other weekend with my dad. So I was from one parent to the other, and then that meant there was benefits were two birthdays and 2 Christmases and 2 holidays and things like that. But then they always would like kind of fight over me, and like but then they'd be pushing me as well to do the things that they wanted to do. So I had from both.
That's
parents,
why you ended up with so many different things.
Push for the music as well. That was another thing that I did. Like
you do music.
I did trumpet, and I used to go to my mum to like all these music holidays and things like that.
Jeez.
So that is not. That is probably not your.
So I had a balanced childhood and the best of both worlds. And
yeah. So that's probably not the traditional way you'd think of a fighter ending up fighting. You'd think he'd come from a rough background or a background where you had no choice. You had lots of choices.
Yeah.
So to make a choice about how your life went.
Yeah. To touch on that as well, what were you like as a kid, temperament wise?
Temperament. I was very shy.
Yeah.
And reserved. Like, yeah, I didn't say boo to a goose. I was very quiet, and I don't know, but I was balanced and pretty, I don't know, pretty calm, relaxed, like a gentle giant. So until you got me on the pitch or in the ring, then then it just switch it up, innit? or someone drives me to that point. When they cross the line, then I would like switch and beat them up.
So really, as a youngster, would you, socialising wise, out and about on the street, would you do that, or are you just too busy?
Yeah,
doing
I
this
was like in school and outside of school. I was always like I was always like middle of the road. I was never too naughty or too good. I was like, I had my fair share of bunking lessons and stuff, and like getting up to mischief, but. I managed to come up with good grades and like go to further education, go get a degree as well. So I did the best I could, and I did the best I could.
Hi guys, quick shout out to our sponsor Pulse Roll. Did you guys know that Pulse Roll are on a mission to get people moving? And over the past 6 years, they have built the UK's leading percussion massage therapy gun, used by people such as Anthony Joshua. And Pulse Roll have created a current range of 6 devices scientifically proven to enhance recovery and rehabilitation. To find out why their range is so good and what makes it so good, visit pulseroll.com, where you can find educational content and blogs to help you perform smarter, recover faster, and keep moving. So that's pulseroll.com. pulseroll.com to help you keep moving, and thanks to Pulse Roll for sponsoring this show.
Well, would you bring up your own kids like how you were brought up?
Yeah, I think
especially looking at how the world is today.
I think I'd get them involved with as much as I can, and then they give them a chance to choose what they want to do with their life. Like, see what skills they got, what their skill sets are, and what they're interested in, and what they've got a passion for, and then like send them that direction. And if they want to take it and like take it to the highest level, then that's up to them.
What was your skill? What was your passion as far as you was concerned? Everybody else could see everything else. As far as you were concerned, what was your skill? What was your passion? What would you have preferred to have done?
I tried out all these different sports until I found the one that because I had opportunity to, so I started training with this Cuban guy called Juan Pinada Hernandez, and he started training me I used to see him in the leisure centre. He used to be like a PT and stuff, and he saw the potential I had, and he was saying that he was speaking to my mum, because she was training my mum at the time. It's like, I've met this kid, like he's very tall and strong. He's got great sport potential. I'd like to train him for athletics. And then my mum was like, that sounds familiar. Maybe you're talking about my son.
Wow.
And so like we started off with him, like used to train me in the gym for free, take me to the track, and the goal was to get to Beijing doing long jump or triple jump. Now I couldn't get to that goal. I couldn't get to that level where I was getting funding and stuff. I took myself to Middlesex University where they had the gold program that they support their athletes that have a potential to go to the Olympics. But I didn't get to the level where you start getting that funding because I wasn't good enough. And so I was in this booster competition where I won a bronze in shot put. And I wasn't even bothered about getting the medal for shot put. I was upstairs watching the boxing. They had boxing there, and when I was on the assessment for GB, I was like, I recognise this place because I'd been there before in that competition. So it's cool that I instead of athletics, I got there through boxing.
So when you started boxing, you said you were 22 when you started.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get?
Late, man.
It's late. But how long before you were like, work your way up to say, GB level sort of?
That'd have been the ABAs. I boxed Joshua in the ABAs at London finals, or was it 2011 or something? So and then I beat Fraser in 2012.
How old were you then?
No. Sorry, it might have been 2010. And then 2011, I beat Fraser and then got on the assessment for the GB team. So
it was only a couple of years after you started.
So I got on the GB squad 2012 when Joshua had already been selected to go to London.
Right.
So I was just coming through then.
So how old was that a couple of years after
23.
So it was literally a year after you started?
23, 24,
So you were good straight away. You had a knack for it straight away. Pretty much. Well,
I was already an athlete, so all they had to do was just like learning the technique, and it does take a long time. But when I'm big and athletic, then like the early fights, they didn't stand a chance. I was just pumping out my fists. I was from Elsfield, so I was very fit, just pumping out the shots. My first fight, I didn't even know I was fighting the southpaw. It was like, and then he's like, by the way, that kid you fought was a southpaw, and I like the way he kind of like keeps you grounded because he always like rinses you in the van all the way back. So you're like,
do you think you're a natural fighter, boxer?
I think you can be a
natural fighter
athlete.
in heart, or you're a natural athlete.
Yeah,
because I think Carl Froch turned professional when he was 26. 26. I'm sure it was 26.
So you did, sorry?
Carl Froch.
Okay.
I'm sure he was 26. I don't know. Another fight he changed. So very few fighters have turned pro in their mid to late 20s. So when you started boxing at 22, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Joshua started at 18. So it shows that athletic talent you had naturally anyway. And so how would you'd see others coming through, how would you try and inspire others to try and follow in your footsteps?
Well, what I'd say is just for parents and for kids, just try out everything, like see what you like, and then if you've got the potential, then like go for it.
I guess that's the great thing with you from doing such a broad spectrum of different things. You were so well trained in so many different areas that you could have almost done anything then anyway, because you're so highly skilled in so many different areas. When it came to boxing or anything, you could have probably focused everything you knew from all of those things and combined them
into
to
one
be good
sport. It's just finding the right sport, because I was very good at swimming. I could have done swimming Olympic level, maybe even diving at Olympic level. I used to go to the Putney Leisure Centre on the weekends and like do like loads of flips with my friends, like somersaults, and I got to a good like doing doubles and triples and spins.
This man's talking about this as though it's no big deal. I'm like,
really?
Mine's a belly flop straight in.
So I grew up with it, but it's important to I've like taught so many kids that it's important for like the parents to get involved, like, because if the parents are like getting involved, taking their kids down to the swimming pool, then they're gonna like practice and learn and stuff like that. But like if they're just you know, they don't get the opportunity, and then they just suddenly go to their swimming lesson in school, and they've got they've never been in the pool before. Then it's going to be.
You see, the example there is parenting.
We keep coming across that.
It's parenting, and obviously you can't look at the child and say, well, why are you doing this if you that's not what you go home to. If your parents are if you're gonna have kids, you've got to put the effort in to say, right, I want to help you out with this. I want you to push it out, make your own decisions.
But then again, don't go too far. You can't because there's some parents that like overparent and.
Do you think yours went too far?
No, they kind of let me do what I wanted to do and what I enjoyed. I'd like stick at it, but then also give me the encouragement. Like if I were interested in something, then to keep pursuing it.
Right. So if you showed an interest, they would make sure that you got the opopportunities to do that.
Yeah, and practice.
Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal? You decided you fell in love with boxing over the diving over athletics. So what was did you have your goal set from that point onwards to say, right, I want to be the world champion, I want to be the best?
Well, from having like expanded my mind and like believing that it's possible that I have the potential to do something in sport, that was key, because I didn't have the confidence. I didn't get the confidence from anyone else, from any other coaches or like anything. Like you don't get the encouragement in school or in like, in school you're good at football. Why don't you go and be a footballer? Or why don't you like, I don't know. There's no like encouragement in sport like in. Like in America, for instance, you get like drafted to all these different teams, and you play for like, you know, the little league, and then you play for college football or something, and then you get like scouted and stuff. There's no way in this country where you can get to where you're going like that. Or I didn't find that until I found boxing.
So it sounds like as a youngster, you weren't much of a social butterfly, and sport has probably given you the opportunity to express who you are. Art, music, almost every athletic attribute. So do you find that's where you could actually be yourself?
Yeah, I enjoyed being part of a team, and like a team environment, like with rugby, for instance, like we go on tours and that, and there's like a lot of camaraderie as well. And it's also because when you're playing as part of a team, each player has strengths and weaknesses, and what they're good at. They're good. They're really fast at running. They're like tricky with the ball, and they can like dummy people, like send them the wrong way and run the other way, or like, you know, they're a good team player. They're good at tackling and passing, and
they all play a role.
Play a role.
Have your siblings gone in the same direction of you? Where the parents pushed them to do the same?
No, I think it just depends on the person. Like, I guess they're like one of my brothers has done. Actually, two of my brothers have done boxing, and like dabbled in sport a bit, but they haven't really had the based on the person, like
the talent to.
I don't know if it's the talent. It's also like, you know, the want to keep going, but it's also getting the routine right, and the like. Okay, you got training this day, and then it's getting into that routine of keep on going. But then if they're not interested, like I think it depends on the person. Like you want to get me there. Right, I'll be there, and I'm training and enjoying it, and I want to go to the next one and stuff. You know what I mean? You have to be that kind of way inclined, I think, as well. There's also the push from your parents.
Yeah. So it sounded like
not too much, not too strong a push from the parents. By the way, parents out there,
general nudge, just a general nudge. So it sounds like you kind of had the perfect cocktail in terms of your growing up, your environment that's trained you so well in so many areas, and you've turned into what we know as today as the Juggernaut Joe Joyce. Incredible boxer, and it makes me understand now why you're so good at what you do. So where did you guys meet? Let's bring in Shane over here. How did you find Joe, and what happened there? Did you approach Joe, or how did that relationship start?
It was actually a bit of a mad one, actually. So Joe had already signed for SJAM before I joined. Because it was originally Adam Morley and Sam Jones, right?
Yep.
And then at this time, I was an interviewer back then. And I used to just interview people for a YouTube channel I did when I was at uni. So the first time I actually met Joe was at Mayweather versus McGregor weigh-in at Wembley. You know when they did the weigh-in here, and they did that thing where they like rubbing his head in that.
And then there's that the security dressed up, the guy who dressed up as a security guard and got into the get like, and he's like, oh, I have to watch out for this big 7-foot dude, and like, it's funny.
Yeah, talking about him, that was
Anyway,
and then so I met him. That was the first time I met him. But actually, it's weird. It goes back before that. So when I was at uni, that was when the 2016 Olympics won, which Joe got to the final of obviously against Tony Yoka. And I remember my mum and dad, they came and picked me up from uni so we could all watch the final at home as a family. So originally I was a bit of a fanboy because I was watching it, like I was getting behind him the whole tournament. I remember when he knocked out, it was Hrgovic. No, it was Ivan before that, wasn't it? And then Hrgovic before that, wasn't it? Yeah. And they fought each other for the bronze, didn't they?
Then they fought each other for the bronze, and then I fought.
You fought obviously Yoka for the
final,
yeah. And then so I watched, and that was originally when I started to really get to know Joe just from the outside. And then I met him at Wembley Arena, interviewed him and whatnot. Interviewed him a few times moving forward from there, from the Ian Newison fight, which was his debut. And I got really close to Sam and Adam from that point, basically. And then about what pro fight was it? It was about a couple of weeks after he knocked out Donny Palmer, which was live on Dave.
Yeah, I remember that, the York Hall, right?
Yeah, York Hall. Then I got approached to join, and I was like, man, I was sick of that, whatever that game was that I was in anyway, man. I was like, get me out of here. So I was like, yeah, I wanna be involved in management. Like, I felt like my attributes as a person, to what I know about the sport, would be a lot better in management than what it would be in interviewing people. I was never that good anyway. So yeah, and then I got to know Joe really well, and then from that point on, we've gone to Vegas countless times. We've helped set up his training camps.
Has it been easy?
Nah, not at all. But it shouldn't be easy. If you're dealing with a world elite level athlete, it shouldn't be easy because there's so much that comes with that, like responsibilities.
What has been the hard bit? What is it? What's been hard about it?
I mean, it's a mixture of things. It's probably equally as hard for Joe because it's like you're away from your family and friends for long periods of time. You're dealing, well, more so for me, I've got fair skin. That heat's a bit mental. Man. I don't know about you guys, but
well, I was going to say you're in Vegas and people think Vegas must be so fun, but you're not there to have fun, are you?
I'm stuck in Vegas, only chatting to this fella here, like, those lonely car journeys and back and forth from training.
Yeah, and the other bit's so hard. It's quite a pressurised job because you feel like, see, when you're going in there against someone like Joseph Parker, and I was quite new to doing the whole training camps myself, like organising them. I have to get in the right sparring. I have to get everything right in the camp. And if you don't, and it doesn't go your way on fight night, one of the first people they're going to blame and look at is probably me because I pretty much set up the whole camp. I'm the one who said it. I thought that was the right style.
Is it not about delegation though? So you've got to get the right person to have the right eye, to get the right sparring partners. You've got to get the right person to say, right, this is the best hotel to use. These are the best facilities to use. You just got to put the right people together.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's kind of then to like, I was picking pretty much all of the sparring as well. So that's something that I've been doing for a lot of my fights for over the years. So I'm basically a good example I did in the last camp. I felt like Joe was just levels above the sparring partners that we got in, because obviously when you first start sparring, you don't bring in world elite level guys that are already fully fit, because he has to get his fitness levels up as well. So, and I had to like take out and bring in Carlos Takam, and then we had to bring up the levels from that, and then you have to make sure you get him ready to peak at the right stage in camp and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a lot of help when you've got a talented trainer like Ismail Salas around guide you, because I learned a lot from him. A lot of what I know today is because of him, so it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, it's just a high pressure job, because that's just one fighter. I've got 10 others that require the same kind of attention.
Is it easy to keep him in that bubble, away from all the distractions of the rest of the world, the rest of the world's opinions, temptations?
It has its pros and cons, because obviously it makes it a lot easier to get Joe to focus, because he hasn't got his friends there because they're all in London, or he hasn't got his family there because they're all back in England or whatnot. So that side it is, because then it's very much train, sleep, repeat. Then it's very easy to like just switch off, because you are in Vegas, and also like people do get bored. Like when it comes to the weekend, well, what do you do now? And then all there is going on, especially in the summer, is parties and everything else. It's like, well. And then you just like look at each other and like, well, what do you want to do? And they're just like,
let's go for a walk.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't even walk because it's too hot. I can't even go out, man. I can't even do
umbrella. Joe,
yeah,
how do you find it being away from home and all of that with your training camps? Do you find it easy to switch off, or have you had struggles, from those kind of things, like sort of emotionally, or do you not let any of that get in the way and you can really focus?
I just taking myself away from my comforts, and I've been used to going away to travel to training all the time from GB, driving up to Sheffield and going to Germany or France or wherever for training camps and stuff. So I'm used to going away and training, and I feel like you can just like really solely focus on training and that routine of like get into a routine. There's no distractions. It's at a different time zone. The only problem is it's like late, like really early calls and really late. Late calls. So yeah.
So there's not many fighters that actually do that anymore. I used to do it, and when you talk about going to gym or taking yourself away from home and being a sparring partner or going to training camps all over the place, that makes you want it more than anything else because you've got nothing else to distract yourself. So it either makes you or breaks you. You think, nah, I don't want to do this. I want to go home, or you immerse yourself in it.
And especially Vegas as well. This is where it's all going on. There's all the good boxers and fights. And
which gym are you using?
Famous fight.
Salas Boxing Academy, which is 255 S Jones Boulevard.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So the gym is it full? Is the gym full anyway?
It's full. Like when it's a busy period where like the boxing season from I don't know, was it September till like July or something. But it's really busy. And
but are you one of those fighters that just train for a fight, or do you train in between?
I train in between. We went out there like for 3 weeks just before Christmas. What was it? November.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. Just got back.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So that's like a pre-camp. There's no pressure of a fight. So just like learning stuff and keeping the technique and like make sure I'm not making mistakes.
So you're usually there to oversee.
Yeah, go there to oversee, there for like any company questions, whatever. Like it's quite obviously, as you know, man, boxing's like a lonely place. If you send Joe out there on his own, I don't know what he would get up to, man. But I feel like it's good to go out there as well. And it's good for me, man, because I learn loads out there as well. So.
And discipline for you as well, because if he's got to suffer, you've got to suffer. If he's bored, you're bored.
I was going to say, does he suffer with you, or is he off out when you go to bed?
It's good. Yeah, it's good to have company, someone to chat to, and that, and it's bounce. It goes more fun, more quickly, like the training camp, because otherwise it does drag out. Like it gets repetitive because you're getting up, you're going to the gym, you're coming back, you're having lunch, you're going again, you're having a bit of a rest, you're going back to the gym, and then you're coming back, and then you're having dinner, and then you're going to sleep. This is day in, day out. So like when it gets to the weekend, you want to do something. Okay, the boxing's on, or there's I don't know, the Raiders are playing.
What's the biggest name you spar with, and the biggest lesson you've learned in your journey so far?
The biggest name I've sparred?
Yeah.
Well, I guess Joshua and Fury are probably the biggest names I've sparred. And what was the other question?
And the biggest lesson you've learned?
The biggest lesson I've learned?
From those spars?
No, just generally, because I learned so much as about people. Could be sparring, could be about yourself, self-belief, self-confidence, or just understanding what's important. What's the biggest lesson you learned personally for yourself in the journey you've had so far?
I think just don't be afraid to take yourself away to get the best training. I've done that. I've done a lot of traveling to. I'm traveling now to go to train with Salas. You know what I mean? So that's probably a key lesson. Like I took myself to Cuba as well before I came back and won the ABAs. So I haven't been afraid to travel.
By yourself?
Yeah. I took myself to China by myself.
Wow, good call.
To train in the Shaolin school.
And do you speak any foreign languages?
I like to be able to say hello, thank you, goodbye
in everywhere you go.
Like because it's nice. Like when someone who doesn't really speak much English, they try like Usyk. He tries to. Well, I mean, he speaks probably a little bit more than what he lets on, but like it's nice.
Very
feel. But it's better than him not saying anything and just having the translator do it.
Yeah. See, and this, without even realizing it, the lesson learned, or you learn to think You learn to think about other cultures, dealing with other people, dealing with other situations, especially when you go by yourself, especially when you go to a language where, a country where you don't speak the language. You've got to eat, sleep, find yourself to a gym and get yourself around. So I suppose that is a tough lesson learned, but a good lesson learned.
Yeah, like when I went to Cuba, there was like 3 people I could speak to English, maybe one or two fluently. And China as well, that like obviously the local language is Mandarin, so you have to have all these translators and stuff. But then, if you're still learning, and it doesn't just the body language and like the what do you call it, pidgin English or whatever it is. That you get by that. Like,
Joe, sorry, I was just going to say because like Johnny's pointing out that you learn to do that, to travel on your own is a massive thing. You mentioned you were really shy as a youngster. I'd say it takes an incredible amount of confidence to go to the places you've been on your own, to do the things you're doing, not only to box, but to go around the world and do this grueling training in places you can't even speak the language. Where did that confidence come from this shy kid? Do you remember where that grew, or like when you started to feel more confident and to be able to do that kind of thing?
Boxing definitely helped with that, because especially coming from Elsfield, you're going to get stick by Sid, but I think he does it. I think his heart's in the right place, and he does that to like kind of like make you a bit like harden you up a bit.
By who?
Sid Khan.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's always giving you stick and stuff, and like you get used to it, like the stick and everything, and then also boxing I think brings confidence because it's like a combat sport, and you're sparring and you're getting up in front of a crowd. Like, it was new to me because I'd never been, because I'd been to rugby games and different things, like galas. That was cool with like people shouting, like all the parents getting behind you when you try to do like freaking breaststroke or whatever.
Slightly different though, isn't it?
So it's good to have that encouragement, and also the more talking you do, like interviews and stuff, you get better. Like whatever you do, and you keep practicing, you get better at it. So
you're saying boxing instilled the confidence in you, and just all this sport and that, you just slowly developed into a much more confident person to the person you are now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Can I ask, is there any part of you now that gets fearful before a fight, or fearful's probably the wrong word at someone at your level now? Do you get nervous before fights? Do you get anxious? What's your emotional state?
I get more nervous after the fight when they shoot. They put the mic in your mouth.
Oh, right. What are your thoughts on this fight, Joe? You're still there, like shell shock.
Adrenaline's going, my brain's not working. I don't know if it's connected. No,
yeah. So no nerves before a fight for you then?
Nah. I just make sure I do the steps that I've always done to get me ready for the fight, and I've done all the hard work, all the the whole training camp and stuff. So I better get it right on fight night, right?
So you feel like you put the work in, so you're confident on the night.
Yeah, I've done all the training.
So maybe that insular resistance, being shy when you're younger, actually helps you when it comes to performing. You're used to motivating yourself. You're used to actually moving yourself, thinking, "This is what I've got to do. I've prepared right. I've done everything right. I don't need a tap on the shoulder to say you've got this," because you've kind of grown up that way. I don't suppose many of your friends from home travelled to you to go to rugby, swimming, boxing, or whatever. You just you did it on your lonesome with yourself and your parents.
And I think with that, it's like you get comfortable. You have a comfort zone, and like if you're used to walking to school by yourself, then you'll be confident in walking to school. But if you've always been driven there, you won't be that confident because you've never done it. So it's a bit like that.
Yeah, I think as a fighter, it makes you have so much confidence and self-belief. If you are taking your way to a foreign country, when you walk into that gym, you're fresh meat. Fresh meat means everybody in that gym is looking, thinking, "You boys here, we're going to kick the life out of him. We're going to batter him." Any sport, rugby, whatever. If you're going to join a new team, going to new gym, you're fresh meat. That's the mentality. So you've got to hold your own. It's like a fight.
You've got to wear your stripes, haven't you?
Yeah.
Wearing your stripes
like a mental
in life,
fight every day.
And especially when you go into a new gym, are you the best in the gym when you go in there, or are you the worst in the gym? And then you've got a space to build your way up.
Self-belief in that moment, isn't it? Do you believe you're the best, or?
But then you don't have to. You don't go in the gym being the best already. But you build your way up, and it's you know, like with martial arts, like with the kickboxing and kung fu and stuff, it's like all about the grading and the next belt and stuff. Whereas boxing, you earn that through like your hard work, and you build yourself. You always keeping and improving, and then you win your fights, and then you get the belts.
Yeah, gotcha.
Do you think you get the respect you deserve?
I think so now, a bit more so. And now I'm like mentioned top 5, and like there's some dream matches being thought up.
Hello everyone. So, for those of you that may have noticed how good myself and Johnny have been looking throughout this podcast, that's because we are donning Real. Now, they produce high performance sportswear inspired by boxers. Boxing is as much mental as it is physical, and Real believe that it's a combination of physical and mental strength. That is where your performance potential lies. Unify body and mind to realize the power of one. Real fights for enhanced mental well-being. So whether you're a seasoned boxer or new to the sport, Real will empower you to test your limits. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at Real Power of One, and you can find their store and their newsletter over on realpowerofone.com. And take it from me, this genuinely is some of the most comfortable and high quality sportswear that I have ever worn. So it's realpowerofone.com for sportswear inspired by boxers. And thank you so much to Real for sponsoring this podcast. Well, this is what I was going to ask you, Shane. So, I mean, you have Joe on your stable. I know you've got a really successful stable, but you got someone like this, unbelievably athletic, like clearly talented. Like I keep saying, this Juggernaut is the perfect name for you. In the way that you steamroll these guys.
Spencer Fearon likes to call him Jollof Joe.
But going through his career, I know I've spoken to you a few times where you felt that Joe wasn't getting the respect he deserved through previous fights. And then, do you think the Joe Parker fight was a turning point? I know how much belief you guys have had that Joe would always be a world champion, and I believe that myself. What do you think it was, and what you know, sort of in his journey?
Yeah, I mean, he's not always had the most luck really, because Daniel Dubois fight was meant to be in front of 18,000 people at the O2. It ends up being in front of about 12 people in the church house, and he didn't get the promotion maybe he deserved at the time, because he wasn't essentially supposed to win that fight. Then he upsets the odds, beats Dubois. Then what does everyone say? Oh, no one knows how good Dubois is. He's just a kid.
That's fickle boxing fans for
so
you,
that's
right?
it. And then it was, oh, well, here we go. And then COVID didn't really allow him to fight again for ages. Then he fought Takam, knocked out Takam faster than anyone else. And everyone was like, oh, Takam's old and finished. And then it was like, okay, right, maybe he was, whatever. Then Joe got an injury. That's what I mean. He didn't have the most luck. And then he had to have a warm-up fight against Hammer. And Hammer had come off quite a few defeats at the time. But still, no one was stopping him and knocking him out, right? So then he goes and knocks him out in 4 rounds. Oh, it's an easy fight. Everyone should knock out Hammer within 4 rounds. I was like, okay, cool. Then now for the first time, he's actually going in there with a proven world level fighter, ex-world champion, beat Andy Ruiz, who everyone seems to think is still super elite fighter. So, right, here we go. Let's see how good Joe is then. And then when I was in that training camp, I knew 100% how that fight was ending. I called it exactly.
I remember you saying it.
I called it exactly how it ended. And I was like, because I used to get really nervous about Joe fighting before I was in his camps. And when you go in them, I was like, oh, okay, right. Now there's no reason to be nervous anymore. And then
and also before the fight, I'm not exactly bag of nerves, am I?
No. He's just
Does he make you feel confident?
You're more nervous than he is.
No, always way more nervous than he is. But I'm not even that nervous. But he looks like he's about to go and read a book or something. I don't know what he's just like chilling. He's just chilling.
Johnny's saying about your demeanour never changes. It genuinely doesn't. Before or after the fight, you just seem so chilled.
But the reason why this is effective, right? And I'll give you an example. So you see David Price, yeah? I used to go and watch him spar, and he would spar 12 rounds, no problem, yeah? No problem. He had a good engine. But the reason why he would go so flat and gas in the ring was because of nervous energy all the time. Yeah. And that's why after 2 or 3 rounds, he's flopping all over the ropes, right? And that's what happened when he fought Hammer, when he got knocked out by Hammer. And that's what happened when he fought...
a lot of time.
Oh, yes, he's looking good, like round 3.
That's what I'm saying. Three round four, you usually know the pressure getting, because that's the problem where a lot of fighters don't have that conversation with themselves to exercise that. And if you're used to motivating yourself and having that mental confidence, then that's what I'm talking about with Davy Price.
Yeah, and then this is probably partly of the reason. Obviously, he is naturally a very fit person to have the engine that he has at heavyweight, but part of it as well is because he'll burn no nervous energy. He isn't keeping himself up at night the night before. He isn't thinking about it all day on the day.
Games,
playing games. I did see what he's doing. And then, even in the changing room, he's just focused, warming up, listening to his trainer. And another good thing about it as well is the trust he has in his trainer. That relationship. I've never seen a relationship with that between a fighter and trainer before. Joe sometimes, and this is actually the one fight I'll pick, even during the fight, will start looking at his trainer because he can't hear what he's saying. And I'm like, Joe, face the right way, man. You're not in the wrong way.
I've seen that. It's like in mid-fight. What?
I was like, mate.
Only someone with a confidence in Joe, in his own chin, would be like, don't worry, I can take it anyway.
How far do you think he'll go on? Now, take your PA you have head off, and just tell me how far do you think he'll go?
I don't see with his attributes and the way he dedicates himself to the sport, why he won't win every world title belt that's available. Because the way I look at it is right now, I think the style to beat Usyk, Joe's got that style. I think you need to be able to have the stamina to punch for 12 rounds. I think Joshua showed that at times a way that you can beat Usyk, but he just doesn't have the engine to sustain that over 12 rounds. He doesn't have the engine to sustain it over 3 or 4 rounds, because then he has to take breaks, and then that's when Usyk picks him apart every single time, right? And even then, if you look when Usyk fought AJ in both fights, both times he took rounds off as well, because he was allowed to. If you fought someone like Joe, he would not be allowed to take rounds off, and then we'd have to see really what Usyk's engine's made of
because you two boxed in the amateurs.
I was going to say,
yeah, over 5 rounds.
This is it with your amateur fight, isn't it? You boxed over 5 rounds. It was a good fight. It was a close fight anyway. But 5 rounds ain't 12 rounds. How do you see? What did you take from that 5-round fight, and how do you see a 12-round fight going with it?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say, so enjoyable fight, and it was like the Ukraine in York Hall there, where they had the flags, the drums, and stuff. It was a great event, and I really enjoyed the fight. I just wasn't. I just needed a bit more experience than that, and maybe a bit better southpaw sparring and that. But I needed the double jab as well in that fight. Watching it back as well, like looking at my skill, like it's kind of painful to watch how how far I've come since then. So
you're critical on yourself from back then.
Yeah, critical. But yeah, no, I was in that fight. I was well in that fight. Could have been closer than it was, but he was well too experienced for me right then. Like 350 amateur fights, gold, coming off Olympic gold medal and stuff. So same with Maxwell, actually. He was fighting Lomachenko.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was an unsold out York Hall, by the way. He had Joyce, Usyk and Lomachenko Maxwell, and there was about 700, 800 people in there. Right, when you could have fit
you need to get that program. You need to get that program.
Yeah.
Just have a look at that program. Because you had a lot of experience in amateur as well. I think people probably don't, they underestimate, but maybe your own fault, because you're not as loud, you're not as braggadocious, you're not in your face, I've done this, that and the other. But in reality, your resume actually puts you in a position. And
I'm really thankful as well the WSB came about when I was coming through, because that really helped me get a taste of what the pro game is, and also do them learning fights against top level people without it going on my record as well. So and also the GB experience as well. That was good to be a part, come through with them and learn and have time in the ring to learn and grow and stuff. And I've done my 10 years in the sport, and now I'm
cashing in.
Cashing in, yeah. I'm at the top.
Cashing in.
I've got a fan question here from me as a fan. Because we just talked about your attributes and the way nothing rattles you. You got Tyson Fury. You've sparred him before. I know, obviously, I would like to ask you about his experience, but Tyson as a fighter, I think he'd love to know that he can get in his opponent's head. And I think you'd be a nightmare for Tyson. I think he knows it, because you'll never be able to get in your head. You'll be so cool, calm and collected on the night, and you've got a hell of an engine and you come forward. I think that's an amazing fight. But having sparred Tyson, fought Usyk, who's the tougher fight for you, do you believe, or can you not pick between the two?
I think a few, like myself and Fury is going to be a great fight because we've both got an engine to do the 12 rounds. We're both going to be throwing a lot of shots throughout the fight and the skills as well, like how the styles make fight, how the fight will go on. Yeah, like from sparring, it was very competitive spars between us two, and I can see where he can like raise the levels and like sometimes he comes with unpredictable shots where you don't really quite know where they're coming from and stuff. So yeah, that's going to be a tough test. But I mean, also Usyk, like all these fights coming up, like at this top level, are they're hard fights, man. Usyk as well, like he will be able to live with me for 12 rounds. Well, maybe, but he throws a lot of punches throughout the whole fight, and he's a southpaw and a very slick southpaw. It's hard to hit. Yeah. Got good foot movement and timing, etc.
What about AJ?
AJ is a different kind of fight because he's got power. So if I'm going to be trading with him, that's going to be risky because he's got power in both hands. He's showed he can work on the back foot and be like more defensive and that, so it'll be hard to hit as well. So that'll be a hard fight. Wilder.
This is the big question, like isn't it?
Crazy man, and he's fast and he's patient. He's like a sniper, but they each have their like different skill sets that are.
That's why it's so exciting, isn't it?
Be tough.
Have you ever genuinely been rocked or buzzed or stunned?
Yeah,
as in wobbled, like
ouch, ouch.
Like, not just this hurt, like my brain actually went there.
Yeah, like I got put in the ring cold against who's the dude?
Sergio Kuzmin.
Yeah, Kuzmin in the European Games, and now like there's supposed to be 2 fights before mine, so the coaches knew that we had a bit of time and to get ready. So I'm just like got my shorts on. I'm starting to put my gloves on and like just starting to warm up. And the geezers come in like, "Yo, you're on now. Get up, go!" Like we're like, "No, we got 2 fights, mate." And like they're, "No, you have to go now." And the coach is like, "Well, wait a minute. We need to like." So I had a brief warm up, and I literally jogged to the gym, to the ring
as you warm up.
Yeah, and then this freaking Kuzmin there, big Russian dude, he's looking at me, and then like big, and then he comes forward, and he's swinging in like some bent arm shot, winging them in, and like cops me with one, and then I staggered, and then.
Did he knock
and
you
then
down?
I think he hit me with another one, and then I went down, but then got straight back up. But then the ref's like looking at me, and I think I had like 3 counts in that first round, and he like counted me out. I was like, "Oh,
really?"
But sometimes it's good to lose a battle and
like
win a war.
I didn't quite learn at that time, but then I had one in the Worlds as well. I got caught like that again. So then, but after that, I learnt my lesson, and then.
Well, that's what the amateurs are for. Amateurs are there for you to make all your mistakes, because the prize, especially as a professional, is high. The price is high, so you're better off making all those mistakes, the losses, the draws, the not prepping right or not warming up right. You need to do that, make those mistakes then. So now at this stage,
that's where that experience comes in. Yeah.
The
thing is, at that level as well, like where he was fast track so quick, he was boxing people that have been boxing like their whole lives still, and like been boxing all over the world for a much longer period of time. And then he's getting chucked in there with these big names, and then sometimes you're going to get caught with big shots. You don't really.
But that's what happens as an heavyweight, because you could get in the championships and have one fight. Next minute you're in the semis because there's no opponents to fight. That's what happens in the amateur scene.
Yeah, Lawrence Coley, he moved quite quick for the amateurs as well, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he's the quickest mover in the.
Have you sparred with Lawrence?
Yeah, he's
Do you think he'll make a good heavyweight?
Yeah, he's like kind of like similar to Wilder, like stature wise and that. He's awkward and he can bang. He's got his right hand and stuff. Yeah, he's he's one of the kind of cruiserweights that you'd imagine to go up at some point.
Johnny, you were a cruiserweight, and I know there's a lot of this cruiserweight moving up to heavyweight. Look at these big boys these days. Would you fancy yourself against these lads back in the day?
I've also, so when I was cruiserweight, a lot of the time they said, want me to step up to heavyweight. I said, I'm a cruiserweight. But the weight was 13 stone 8. I'd blow up to like 14.5 stone. And that was as heavy as I could get. And I thought, there was some guys out there that were big in every department. These guys were heavy. They were tall. And then I'm thinking, nah, I'm staying in my lane. But there's certain heavyweights you could fight and actually, believe it or not, win a world title. at heavyweight. All right, it was one of those obscure ones, WBF or something like that you got down in Australia. But I gave it up straight away because I thought I ain't no heavyweight. So it was just a title. But there were some heavyweights. If you're a good cruiserweight, you can beat most heavyweights up to a certain point. And so if you're an outstanding cruiserweight, that's when you can mix it. Like Holyfield mixed it with certain heavyweights. But sometimes giving away too much is too much. You've got guys up with natural power.
This is the thing. Don't you find even these days, though, I feel like even 10, 15 years ago, like heavyweights, like, they're just getting bigger.
Yeah.
And bigger lads are
You
just
look at Joshua, you look at you, you look at...
You're like the 6'6" is quite a standard size for a heavyweight.
Is after the Olympics, we're on the podium. No, I think it's the European Games. We're all on the podium. We're all 6'6" plus.
Yeah. And so back in the day,
same with the Olympics actually. Yeah, all 6'6" plus.
Back in the day, Frank Bruno, Gary Mason, people like these guys were like the average 6'2" and that. You know, you look at Mike Tyson, and you think, can you imagine fighting these big eunuchs now? You know, the size that they've got on them, because a lot of them are
I think he still have a chance, to be honest. But
it's a different animal, though. Right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So for what he'd achieved for the size he is, you know, the guys that are around today, it's just a different breed, different gravy.
Joe, following all of your career and you growing up, and sport has obviously been a massive part of your life. Like you said, art as well, but you've always found things to focus on. What sort of advice would you give to young kids that are sort of a bit misguided, maybe getting themselves into trouble? Is there anything from your life that you'd advise these kids to do?
Well, I mean, because kids growing up, they don't have much to do, and I guess like if they get the excitement from being out on the street and getting up to music, mischief with the wrong crowd and stuff, like I think just getting into sport is like boxing, because it's exciting, it has a career path, and definitely that excitement. Like you you want to have a fight, you could go in, you can spar, you can and like when you can spar, you can fight in front of people, and then you can get a name for yourself, because that's what I think I guess happens in the street. You build your name for yourself, but you also like for a career.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think it's
but not everybody wants to fight.
But
not everybody wants to fight. Not everybody wants to actively or fairly get in to go to a boxing gym and fight. So what?
What are you saying?
What would you suggest for parents or for youngsters coming through that probably that don't want to fight, but what would your message be to them?
I think like look at themselves, like what is their skill set, what are they passionate about, and what what do they want to do with their life, like it's important to like think and to set goals.
That's it. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff you said is about sort of having a purpose, and I think yourself, you mentioned parenting as well, and it was really great because you were encouraged to do a lot of things. And I think rightly so, like you've said, there's an element in the street of kids that a lot of kids that get in trouble. Some of them feel like they're in a place they don't want to be. Some of them feel like they're forced into this place. But there's definitely an element of sort of building yourself up in whatever hierarchy that is. But if it's in the wrong environment, like getting into gangs and stuff, like you've rightly said, go into a boxing gym. You can do that in the controlled environment, and if focus all that energy onto something positive, and then it will take you a long way. I think
and it's got that excitement and the reputation.
Exactly, you can find that excitement elsewhere without going out there and getting into trouble and hurting you.
I think a lot of the time when people do these things, it's because they want to feel like they're part of something. So like that's where you get that. In a boxing gym, you're a part of something there. You got that community feel about
isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Like even Joe was saying before about Sid Khan, who's actually Sadiq Khan's brother.
Is it?
That's who he is. Yeah, he's Sadiq Khan's brother, right? So he does Oldfield boxing club. He'll put his arm around you, probably have a bit of a go at you from time to time, put you in the right place. But the amount of kids he's taking off
make sure
the
you'll keep them coming back to the gym.
Yeah. Make you feel part of it.
Make you feel wanted, part of the family. Yeah.
I think that's the big thing there, isn't it? It's that camaraderie. It comes up so many times in this conversation we have on this podcast, and it's that element of camaraderie that you get in a gym, that discipline, all of those different things were a really perfect cocktail for people to learn a lot of lessons, stay focused and stay out of trouble. Would you agree?
100%.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I've got to say, Joe, I'm well excited to see your next fight. Who it's going to be against? It's going to be. It's
really heating up now, isn't it?
I do get that sense from you as well. Like, you're one of them fighters you meet. He genuinely cannot wait to fight. Can you? You like, and you. I feel it in everything you say.
Is, there's no edge to him. He just thinks, I just want to fight. But that's the
scary.
Win.
Yeah.
You know, as a fighter, the scary thing is you want to know what motivates people. So some it might be money. So the rich ones, you think, God, what is it that motivates you to want to fight? The ones that are rich. I think with Joe, I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's not angry. He's not sad. He's not. I don't know if you're rich or not. But what I'm saying is, I think you'd fight for fun, regardless of what successes you achieve.
I mean, I'd fight for fun as long as you
got paid
as well. I mean, it is a business. It's entertainment. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, mate. Absolutely buzzing for your next fight, and Shane, I'm sure you're gonna pull some big name out of the bag. I mean, it's only big names from here on anyway, isn't it? So, but yeah, really cannot wait to see what you do next, Joe. And thanks for so much for joining us.
Yeah, no, it's good. Pleasure, it's good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Right, I guess Punch Machine. We got to give that one more whirl before you go.
I need to pump it up or something. It looks a bit damaged.
I broke it.
I'll listen to it. Right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on another episode next week.